California is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the opportunity to present and to carry this Congressional Review Act. Indeed, trying to keep some reality involved in the listing of species as well as the overall operations of government and its listing of species and forming of regulations. So in support of HJ Res 78, we want to block the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service misguided decision to list the San Francisco Bay Delta population of the longfin smelt as being endangered. Now, what we have is actual evidence. A former director of Stanford's Center of Conservation Biology wrote a piece on this listing, including these highlights. The Fish and Wildlife Service abandoned its allegiance to using the best available scientific information. The proposed listing ignores salient information gaps and shrugs off technical peer-reviewed criticisms that go to the heart of the argument for listing the species. To list a species, the Fish and Wildlife Service employed unreliable data, presented results from analyses that cannot be justified, and made troubling predictions for the fate of the fish that are built on flawed assumptions akin to a house of cards. Fish and Wildlife Service used piecemeal data to try and establish population trends and size of this using detection methods not even designed for longfin smelt to justify its action. Basically, no science, and this has long been sought by environmental groups since they've run out of the regular smelt after tens of millions of acre-feet of water have flowed out to the delta. Indeed, they need to be looking more at the issues going on with the effluent coming out of Bay Area cities from underpowered sewer systems that are affecting the delta so negatively, not some idea that farmers are getting too much water. At a point where farmers are now just got bumped up to a 50% allocation here the other day by state and federal water managers, we're seeing that it's going to negatively affect the food supply not only for California and its production, but for the whole country. Now, we have statistics that show that the amount of water flowing into the delta is hardly being tapped. Indeed, 80% of it goes right on out the delta into the Pacific Ocean. So it's interesting to hear my colleague from the the North Coast, talking about rebuilding infrastructure as part of a solution we should be talking about here. Well, we talk about it a lot, and hopefully we can move the ball on it. We have an opportunity to build Sites Reservoir, 1.5 million acre-feet of new storage, raise Shasta Dam, 18 feet, 600,000 acre-feet of new storage. If we would operate the pumps in the delta, we would fill the San Luis Reservoir that would be available to the Central Valley. It came up 200,000 acre-feet short this year, which is about the same amount as what they're predicting this listing will cause to short the Central Valley farmers down there if this listing is allowed to happen. Instead, we get more and more water being demanded for environmental purpose, which really doesn't fulfill an environmental purpose. Instead, the blame gets shifted to something else. You know, talk about tariffs. Well, we're tariffed so heavily, almost 300% our dairy products are going into Canada. Something needs to be done for a reset. Rice into Japan, up to 700% at some point. Tariffs need to be looked at, but that's not this conversation. And using the longfin smelt as the latest weapon to take water away from farmers, to take water away from people, we grow some of the richest crops in the great Central Valley of California, and that'll be denied to the whole country. Tomatoes, pistachios, almonds, that will not come from somewhere else unless we import them with lower quality standards, et cetera, et cetera. So we have, indeed, a lot going on here that is not really truthful. It's sad to hear that my colleague from the North Coast, although we're in parallel districts, the first and the second, it seems like we're in parallel universes when I hear him starting to talk about defending agriculture, because it's these policies, introduction of wolves, the tearing down of dams, not rebuilding water infrastructure, tearing down dams on the Klamath that now have caused people to be subject to flooding, the water allocation in the Scott and Shasta Valley being taken away by some emergency drought declaration at the same time as they're being flooded. One thing after another taken away from farmers and instead given wolves. And they want to introduce 1,700 new grizzly bears into California is one of their ideas, devastating livestock. So the ideas are coming out of this building, and the regulatory buildings here are the ones that are choking off agriculture, making food more expensive, making options for people to buy great California-grown products instead of having to import them. It's coming from here. It's certainly not the fault of what the Trump administration is trying to do, in addition to building more water, having more water available for people, You know, why was it that Delta Pumps were able to fill San Luis Reservoir 2 years ago to brim, to the full mark, and they can't the last 2 years?
Gentleman's
because
time.
of
I yield the gentleman one more minute.
Thank you, sir. Additional water flows that are demanded by the environmental left and certain representatives in this building, and a lot of times they get them. The courts are stacked, it seems, against farmers, against this, but we have to fight back. And this is one tool we have with this resolution 78 to review what government does and hold it accountable for when it does last-minute, unscientific pronouncements, in this case, yet another species that they use as a weapon against agriculture and against people's needs. So, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate the time on this. Thank you.
The gentleman from California yields back.